y'all, to join our Patreon for at least $1 a month. If we get 4 more patrons by October 1st, Kelly is going to get fucking wasted and talk about Greek mythology. Bam, 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 bam.
Bullshit that comes with it.
This isn't like, I was like, I'm not even going to do intro because we just really need to be pushing this. It needs to happen. We did get 1 patron, so we just need 4 more to go. That's $4.
I guess
it's $4 fucking dollars, y'all.
if we have a patron move from one tier to another, does that count toward our goal?
I would say so.
So then, we
like if
only
they
need 3
up
more
it.
people.
Someone moved it. Oh my God. Well, you guys get in on this because I want to get Kelly drunk and take advantage of her knowledge of Greek mythology.
I was like, you get me drunk a lot.
Yep. I was actually
You're
thinking,
just more excited about the drunken Greek mythology from a hat.
I am thoroughly excited. I am so thoroughly excited. I also thought, I was like, okay, you know, I can't be putting Kelly in these positions all the time if I'm not willing to put myself in them. Maybe my drunk challenge
What do you know a lot about?
I think I would just get really drunk and tell the story of Lizzie Borden on the Patreon
That could be
podcast, like with
interesting, yeah.
like no script, no script or nothing, just like from my understanding of the case. Like maybe I'd read some books or listen to some podcasts leading up to it, but no script, no safety net, just going off.
That would be amazing.
Welcome to Whining About Herstory, the women's history podcast where 2 besties with breasties drink way too much and whine about women from history that you probably haven't heard of, but Def should have. I'm Emily.
I'm Kelly.
And Kelly's the one we're trying to get drunk so she can talk about Greek mythology.
Yay.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for joining us for another episode. I really hope y'all enjoyed the interview last week.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I'm just going to say, Eden, she speaks like an author. She speaks as if she's writing. I'm like, is this what writers are supposed to sound like? Because I could just listen to her talk forever. And we did. It was amazing. It was beautiful. So yeah, seriously, definitely check out her book. Honestly, I feel like history and women's history, like people who talk about have done such a disservice about, you know, with like, I feel like Victoria Woodhull is one of those women that's always included in like, ooh, history, like cool women from history who did stuff you didn't know. Like she's kind of one of the top people that get introduced in that way. And it's always, she was the first woman to run for president. I'm like, that is like,
it's always just like this one little snippet. And also she didn't run just once.
Yeah. But I'm like, okay, she wasn't like Susan B. Anthony, though. Okay, she was.
Yeah, she wasn't like a
messy.
politician at all.
She
really.
wasn't a politician. She was
Until
like
then.
kind of a half-baked suffragist. You know, all the
super interesting.
She is so complicated. She is so messy. She's so extra, and I love it. So yeah, when people talk about like, oh yeah, Victoria Woodhull, the first woman to run for president, it's like so misleading.
Yeah,
it is so misleading. So. Yeah, Eden did a really good job with her book and that and taking us on that journey. So today we are drinking the very refined Bishop Pine Chardonnay.
Ooh.
From California 2023.
Hey, we'll be going there soon.
I know.
Actually, we will have already been there.
Oh, shit.
By the time this episode releases.
That's right. Oh, my God. I hope we had fun.
I bet we did.
Oh, my God. I bet it was great. I got to... I will have checked off one of my spooky bitch bucket list items of going to Alcatraz because I have always wanted to do that since I was a wee little girl.
A wee little lass.
A wee little lass. So this is one of the wines I won a while ago at the Wine and Wolves event, where we also won the opportunity to pet wolf puppies. That was amazing. We did it. It was amazing.
Still jealous.
Also, wolf puppies stink. The smell is so bad. It was so bad, you guys. Everything else was amazing. The smell will haunt me. Anyway, I'm not usually a Chardonnay person, but I won this bottle in a ring toss. So I was not... The fact that the ring landed on any bottle is already a miracle. Yep. There's no way I was going to be able to like pick what bottle I was going for. But this also feels very appropriate because we're going to California, or we'll have just gotten back from California. And the flavor profile feels very fall. So I'm excited. The description reads, The same coastal climate that nurtures the native California bishop pine creates ideal conditions for our vineyards to flourish, producing richly flavorful grapes. Our wine boasts ripe, crisp apple and pear aromas, toasty vanilla notes, and a buttery smooth finish.
Ooh.
Vintage and bottled by Bishop Pine Vineyards, San Martin, and McFarland, California. Women should not drink during pregnancy. Yes. So, Kelly.
Yes.
Cheers to California.
Cheers to our California adventure.
And quite literally, the fruits of their labor, which have satiated us for many, many, many years now.
Cheers.
Ooh.
We better go to a vineyard or like something, probably why we're there, like, or a wine, like something.
We're at least going to have to drink
Yeah.
wine. I don't think we need to make that a goal. I think it's just something that's going to happen. You and
Probably.
I, when we travel,
we just naturally like are attracted to wine.
I don't think I've ever been to like on a trip with you where we haven't found like either really good wine or like really good cocktails. Because
Yeah,
even
something always, yeah.
Even when we did that ghost tour in St. Paul, we found that bar nearby and they had really good like October themed cocktails and they were fucking
that's
amazing.
I forgot about that.
I think the company helps too. Like, I don't think those cocktails would have hit the same if I was with someone I couldn't stand.
That's probably
I
true.
probably would have drank more though.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
It
I
is very
said,
folly.
I'm not normally a Chardonnay person. I'm on the deck of the cabin in my flannel and jeans and my
Right. Like the fall colors are in full display.
My jacket. I got my hiking boots on. The fall colors are on display. And I'm drinking this wine. This is what this feels like. And I really like it. I know California, obviously, they have cabins and woodlands and, they get some of that energy. But for being being a coastal state, they really get the feel of a Midwestern fall.
Yeah.
They really get it. Thank you. Well, thank you. For the wolves!
Thank you for the wolf.
For the wolves! I mean, this wine was for the wolves.
I know, but it's still funny.
It's not often that you can drink and support the conservation of wolves at the same time. But it can be done.
Yeah.
So, Kelly, who the fuck are you whining about?
I am whining about Maria Beasley.
Ooh, I love a Beasley.
You love a Beasley.
Have
you met a Beasley?
No, it's just like a great
I was like,
last
shit, have
name.
I covered this woman before?
No, but Beasley is just a really great last name. It's fun to say.
I have like a trauma response now.
No, I was gonna say you have kind of been through it recently, and I do apologize. I feel bad that I even brought it up in the last episode that we had covered
totally
Agnodice. I kind of realized it halfway through, but I'm like, I want to hear this story again.
Yeah.
This is an important story. Yeah, it was a long time ago. This is an important story. I'm glad we're getting your take on it. So.
Okay.
All right.
Maria Beasley.
Yes.
So,
Pam Beasley. Maria Pam Beasley.
It's E, but sure, we can go with Pam.
It's a Pam with a silent E at the beginning.
Pam. Okay. So Maria was born in about 1836. I say about because, history, details, women.
It's all made
not
up.
always right there, which is stupid. Like, that always bothers me when it's like, it's like, really?
I deal with a lot of paperwork at my job, and it is important because like we're talking about real estate transactions and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And whenever I get overwhelmed with the paperwork, I'm just like, imagine all of the scenarios where pointless, stupid fucking paperwork has saved the day as far as like documenting people's existence.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's just so funny that like America's like, what time were people born? And then like over in like certain other countries, at least with some families, it's like, here's my lineage for like so many generations.
I will say we're not that much better about the whole birthday thing, because we do have a lot of folks who immigrate to the United States and their birthdays are all listed as January 1st. Because that's culturally that's considered what their birthday is. It's really interesting, but I'm like,
most countries I feel like at least get the year. That's what always shocks me is when they're like, we don't know the year that this person was born, and I'm like, really?
Yeah, but I've had so many conversations with people where I'm like, oh my God, you're a New Year's baby. And they're like, no, it's a thing.
Just
I'm like, oh, okay. And I think in some cultures, it's like New Year's is everyone's birthday. Everyone who's born in that year, it's their birthday. And then I think certain things might get changed when people immigrate. And, not that we have a history of changing people's names or birthdays or anything else when they come into the United States. No, it's never happened.
So, yes, 1836-ish. Her parents were Anna, and Christian. Christian was a miller by trade. And one of her grandfathers, Jacob, so her father's father, was a distillery owner in Kentucky.
Love that for him.
Right? Doesn't that sound fun?
Was his name Jim Beam?
No.
Is this the Pam and the Jim Beasley connection?
No, his name was Jacob Hauser.
Went by Jim for short?
No. So she was born Maria Hauser originally.
Fine.
And North Carolina is kind of where they were born. And because her father was a miller, they were pretty well off. That was 1836 being a miller. You're making some decent money at the time. And from a young age, Maria showed a lot of interest in the mechanics of the milling machine. And she spent a lot of time familiarizing herself with that. Or when she would visit her grandfather, she would kind of see what was going on in the distillery. Because what girl doesn't want to hang out with booze? That's where I would be.
As a Catholic, I was very familiar with alcohol from a young age too.
And another thing that really interested her, and I bring this up now because it comes back later, but when Maria would visit her grandfather, not only would she kind of learn about his business, but she would learn about barrel making and what went into it. Because her, back then, it was a process to make a barrel, and her grandfather was always looking for a better method or a cheaper method or stuff like that for his distillery. And he would often talk to her about I traveled 1,000 miles in search of a good person for barrel making. And so she kind of got that in her head. And like I said, we'll come back to it. And yeah, she was so into how things worked and building things that at the age of 13, she built a small sailboat that was capable of floating and safely transporting herself and her dog, the important things in life. And she would just sail around in it.
I love this child,
right?
If I was her nanny growing up, I would just be like, man, everything is going. You got everything going for you. You're doing everything right. No notes.
Right. Additionally, she created several functioning small water mills on her own, supposedly without any assistance from anyone. She just probably at the mill saw them, learned how they worked, and was like, I can do this.
And this is before having connects and stuff like that, where that is literally
she's
the
probably
point.
Building it literally out of wood and shit. And just look, I built a water mill.
How is it all put together? Shit. Well, what kind? No,
mud.
shit.
Yeah.
Literal shit.
Yeah.
It has a better viscosity and holding power than mud, you heathen.
Yeah. Maria would go on to marry a North Carolina doctor named John Q. Beasley, and would obviously take his last name. They would go on to have 2 sons, Oscar and Walter.
I love those names.
And at the beginning of the Civil War, John would actually become unwell. And so they would move to Kentucky, where it was a little bit drier and stuff like that, to where her grandfather lived. And she would actually later be given his home by him when he passed. Not the distillery or anything, just the home.
Mm-hmm.
And they would live there for a while until eventually Maria was there isn't great schooling in Kentucky, so we're going to move further north. And so they sold the land and the house, and they would move to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Oh, all right. I love Philadelphia.
The old PA.
PHPA.
And her husband recovered. He didn't die or anything.
Oh,
so
good.
He's still
Good.
around. And we actually like John. He like, you're going to really like him later in the story.
Okay, good.
So her profession at the time when they moved was listed as a dressmaker, and she kind of did that on and off. But when the Centennial Exposition opened in Philadelphia, Maria refound her love of machinery and would frequently visit the machinery hall. And so like this is kind of like a World's Fair-ish, I believe. And like, yeah, like they had like a specific hall for like inventors of machines, and she would go there quite often to like kind of look at it.
Do they still do the World's Fair or
don't
like those
think
big
so.
exhibitions? I don't think they do
Like,
either.
I think sometimes like companies will, like I feel like sometimes 3M does it, or like in like the video game market they have like Gen Con, which is like,
Yes.
here's all the games that are coming up in the next year. But I feel like they don't do that for like inventions.
I was gonna say I feel like that's usually what it is. It's a lot more like industry specific.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't think they do a general one anymore. So, and like doing that kind of, like I said, rekindled her love and motivated her to start designing again. And this time her own inventions or improvements on existing ones. So in 1878, she got her first patent. It was an improved foot warmer.
Oh,
Which I was like, I get that, girl.
Our Midwestern Tootsies are loving this.
Right. So it used like a chamber of water that was heated by either a direct flame or heat from a lamp. Basically generated steam, and then it was like this chamber of hot water where the steam is under like an upholstered thing. So like you put your feet on the upholstered part, it gets warm, your feet get warm.
So it's like the water is boiling in the container, it's covered in upholstery, so
And
then
it's heating up
you
the
just get the
upholstery.
warmth
Yep.
instead of the burning sensation.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
And obviously like fire risk because like it's either a direct flame or a lamp. So she also like had it where it's like, okay, due to this fire risk, the lamp gets mounted on like small supports that can be moved like somewhere else, or like if the water gets too hot, you can take it out or stuff like that. So like they reduced the fire risk. Also, she created the lamps so that if the foot warmer like fell over, the lamps were self-righting, like they had a weight in them, so like in the water they would self-right,
Like
so that
a
they wouldn't just like
Weeble-wobble.
light shit on fire.
Oh my God. That's
Yeah.
she kind of thought everything. That's pretty impressive.
Right?
Like it's one thing to think like, okay, so I have a lamp that heats up this thing with the water inside, the water boils, and then that makes your feet warm. But to think of all of these like, but wait, there's more.
Right,
You
but
know?
like let's not light shit on fire.
Yes, that is awesome.
After this, and like it did okay. She kind of continued looking around the world of industrial inventions, which at the time, you know, except for like the invention of the flat bottom paper bag by Margaret Knight and stuff like that, was mostly a guys' club, you know, where they were like, oh, good job on improving something really silly that like no one actually needed. And she was like, nah, I can one up you guys. And that's exactly what she did. So her first like big break and like kind of more what she is known for is a barrel hooping machine. So we're back to the, like, remember, like in her youth, she saw this and like her grandfather talked to her about like barrel making. It fucking sucks.
You know, I love these stories where something from someone's childhood becomes very influential to them as an adult. And I'm not talking trauma, okay? I mean,
No,
like,
like something like that's super like in most people's lives would just be like a footnote, or they wouldn't even remember it.
they went to a circus this one time and now they're a lion tamer, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, her grandfather worked with barrels and now she's making a barrel machine. Like, I freaking love that stuff, and I think this is why adults get so excited whenever a kid, especially a young child, is into anything, because they're just imagining
fan the flames.
all of the ways
Exactly.
that this could manifest as they're older.
That's what I do when like my nieces or nephews are into something. I'm like, let's fan this flame because this could be so cool.
Yeah, Egg got an atlas for Christmas one year that he really wanted, and it's like, oh, yep, that's Egg.
Yep. Yeah. So for context, for maybe our younger listeners or people that just like don't know a lot about barrels, barrels in like that time in like the late 1900 whatever 18 whatevers were like the Amazon Prime boxes of the day. And like everything was stored in them, from flour to whiskey to shipping things, like to going over Niagara Falls. Like it was all fucking done in barrels. Like barrels were a big deal.
Barrels. They're gonna be big.
Yeah, apparently. But making a barrel was super intensive labor. Not so much the wooden part, but like putting the wood together and then putting the metal band around the barrel was really fucking hard.
I think it's so interesting. 'Cause first of all, I don't even understand how they do that, because you bend the wood and then you have to secure it all. And it's like all these different, slats of wood.
Exactly.
I'm like, how did this become the default transportation vessel? Because it sounds like it was a giant pain in the ass.
Right. Well, and now it's like we almost see the opposite problem, where it's like people have barrels. And so now you see like wine distilled in like a whiskey barrel, because I think people are just like, we have too many fucking barrels now.
Have you seen the barrel furniture that is out there?
I will say some of the like barrel coffee tables are really cool, but like the chairs, I'm like, that looks really uncomfortable.
You can decorate your whole rumpus room in barrels. I
would prefer people do that than like with people or like skin. My brain is fully in spooky season. My brain went Ed Gein. It's like, please don't decorate with like people.
I think this is one of the first times Kelly has made me speechless during this podcast.
My ADHD just made the massive leap.
I'm like, please tell me there's a long and detailed spectrum between barrel furniture and human furniture.
I mean, they're both a little tacky. One will probably get you arrested.
You know what? You're right. Also, if you don't treat the skin quite right,
right? Barrels too, though. Like they can get weird.
Good point. But yeah, I went shopping for a couch with a friend one time, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't know barrels were such, like there were whole furniture living room sets and
crazy.
Like, oh, you have a bar in your basement, it's all barrels.
See, like, and that's where I think it would be cool, like not all barrels, but like if you had like a bar and you get like a barrel end table or like some kind of barrel decoration, that would be cool. All barrels, that's a little bit much.
If they are not filled with some kind of alcohol, there is such a thing as too many barrels. Exactly. You can overdo it on the barrel decor.
Right, exactly.
Just like in the 90s, we learned that every bathroom does not have to be fish themed.
Exactly.
There's too much of a good thing. Thank you.
So not only did Maria remember like her grandfather complaining about barrels from when she was younger, she also visited so many barrel making businesses around the country to kind of like assess like, what is the procedure for making a barrel, and like, where is the trouble, and like all of that stuff. And yeah, she concluded that the most difficult step was the task of placing the metal hoop around the barrel staves, which are those slats of wood.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, that's not a natural thing.
I like visually, I'm trying to imagine how you do that, and I don't get it.
I get like the first one because like, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, it's like the second one. Like there's a reason barrels are shaped the way they are. And it's because you're putting the wood under pressure. So like, yeah, that second hoop would be significantly harder to get on.
But I'm like, do you like nail the slats together? Do you measure that or like glue them? Or are they literally held together by the pressure of the hoops?
I did not look it up.
Okay, cool.
I might have to do that later.
It's not, it's not for us to know. It was just
Maria knew.
It was just for Maria to know.
So she went and visited all that, and then she sat down and she invented and patented a machine that could mass produce barrel hoops and made the whole fucking process significantly easier. Emily's Googling how barrels are made.
Shut up!
She patented a barrel hooping machine. That's what it was called. And she patented the first one in 1881 and then like improved the design and repatented it the next year. And she would go on to display it at the World Industrial and Cotton Centennial Exposition.
Hot. Bring the kids.
Because remember, like, everything is stored in barrels.
100%.
And her invention fucking skyrocketed and like significantly impacted the industrial barrel production. So one of her machines, and I wish I had like the statistic of like how many barrels like a person could do or like whatever they had before Maria could do. Because I don't know.
How quick the production was doing it by hand.
One of her machines could hoop 1,700 barrels a day. So 1,700 barrels a day.
Holy shit.
Right.
I'm sorry. Like I know today we measure production in like the tens of millions.
But 1,700 fucking Christ.
Like,
yeah.
As people in 2025, I'm like, I don't even fucking get how barrels work. And she's producing them 1,700 in one day. That is insane.
And so, it was a big deal because her patent was licensed by the Standard Oil Company, like for like, I think exclusive rights. Mm-hmm. And they rented it for $175 a month per machine. I don't know how many machines they bought. But still.
Wait, sorry. It was how much per machine?
$175 a month. But that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's their money.
Well, and this is 1800s. Honestly, if I was making an extra $175 a month, I wouldn't be mad about it.
Yeah. And because, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, even in today's money, like that's not insignificant.
No, 175. 175 a month.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying 175.
Yeah, like right?
even in today's money, I'm like,
that wouldn't be bad.
Please,
that would be nice. Exactly.
Also, according to barrelsdirect.com on how barrels are made, because there is a webpage for everything. Mm-hmm. The staves, which are like, is slats, the wood. Yep, the slats. The reason it's that shape is to make them watertight without the use of screws or glue.
So it's literally just those metal bands.
It's the pressure.
Yeah, no wonder it was so fucking hard to hoop a barrel then.
Yes. Well, and then the slats are actually like dried in a certain way, and then they're held together with the hoops. Yeah. So you have to shape the slats first, and then you have to like get them all to.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah. The barrel like sits over a fire. There's a toast level. There's a lot of shit going on, but no screws or glue.
Okay, there we go. Just metal. That's impressive. Like that. Like just the barrel is one of those inventions that I'm like, how did that happen?
I'm the same way with bread. Bread is truly fascinating for me.
There are so many like inventions that I'm just like, where did this, like, because bread, like you can kind of see the evolution because we have like naan and flatbread and tortillas and like, so you can kind of see like where maybe the evolution came from.
That's a good point. I'm like, who was like, I'm going to make this dough and I'm going to let it sit around for 3 days
in a fire. Yeah, exactly. like it's weird. But like, yeah, like barrels, I'm just like, who was the first person that was like, I'm just gonna make a wooden thing strapped together by metal and store shit in it?
Yeah.
Anyways,
people are amazing.
So because capitalism loves efficiency more than men love, not letting women do shit, Maria and her invention just blew up, and Maria started making serious cash, like own her own carriage type of money and, early retirement and hold my wine glass rich kind of shit. And she didn't stop there. She wasn't like, oh, like I can kind of be my own woman because I'm making so much money. No. So she like with the barrel making machine, she secured funding because she gave partial rights to like business partners. She was like, okay. And then with financial backers, she established the Beasley Standard Barrel Manufacturing Company. So she made her own barrel making business.
Put that shit on a sticker and sell it.
Right. For which she was the majority shareholder, and she would continue running that business for 7 years until that company was acquired by the American Barrel and Stave Company for $1.4 million in their money.
I'm sorry, I just choked on that number.
Which is equivalent to $48,994,815 in 2024.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So She made one machine and then made a company out of it and then sold it for $50 million, essentially.
Oh my fucking God. You know, when people talk about the American dream and, you know, this is the shit that they're talking about, not the person who was loaned $200,000 to start their own business and then buy everyone else's business and pretend like they came up with it.
No, this is it. Yeah. And like I said, Maria wasn't done. She was like, barrels are cool, but like, how can I help people? And so in 1882, she patented a collapsible lifeboat. Basically the IKEA version of a dinghy.
Oh my God.
You could fold it flat for storage and then pop it up on your fancy ass ocean liner and go to town.
What year is this again? This is late 1800s?
1882.
Okay.
Oh, we're circling around. Don't worry.
Okay.
Spoiler alert. No, not really. The Titanic sinks.
But
her invention was on the Titanic.
Shut the fuck up right now.
The freaking Titanic. So, yes, we know there weren't enough lifeboats because patriarchy and, you know, it's not going to sink. But the ones they did have were a combination of, like, normal boats and Maria's collapsible boats because they could be stored underneath the actual ones.
And you know what that means? That means that there was literally no excuse for them not to have enough life.
Just pack a few more collapsible boats on there.
Yeah, that is also, I love that my brain first went to Titanic. Your brain was also there. And then that was the next step.
Exactly. So that means people survived one of the most famous disasters in history thanks to a woman who looked at the ocean and said, "Not today, Poseidon."
God, not today, Poseidon. Also, fucking...
Next time I'm on a boat, that like when we're on the boat going to Alcatraz, that's what I'm going to be thinking in my head.
I'm on a boat, motherfucker. But like the capitalism that really like screwed over the Titanic because they put all their money and their effort in making it super luxurious. Well, and then they were like
part of it too was like, they were like, we don't want to block the view.
Yes.
With lifeboats.
Yes.
And nowadays people are like, yeah, I'd rather like survive.
When the water is rushing up to you to consume you, you want to see
especially if you have, the option for collapsible lifeboats, like turn them into like something that looks like a bench or seat, you know, like...
Put it in
the sky's the fucking limit.
Like, I literally do not care. You have these collapsible lifeboats. There is no excuse. That makes that tragedy even more egregious.
I read it and I was like, God fucking damn
Jesus Christ.
So, during this time, her family staunchly supported her. John Q had become a patent agent just to help market her designs, while their son Walter managed operations in her factory.
Oh, baby Walter.
Historians note that despite the laws of coverture, which is the laws that give men legal rights over their wives earning them possessions, John Q actually signed away any claims he held over his wife's business transactions, basically ensuring that her clients and like partners couldn't abuse her legal status as a married woman to like rescind their deal. You know, like they couldn't come in and be like, well, we thought we were making a deal with you, not your husband. Like, how dare you? And so he was like, nope, like I'm giving away my rights to this. Like, and just kind of like they were still married, but like, he's like, I'm going to let her do her thing. And I love that. Like, not only did he do that, but he was also like, let me help by marketing your designs.
John Q.
So John Q. Like,
green flag.
I have other reasons to not like the name John, but like John Q, I like you. You're 100% a good guy.
Yep.
Like I read that and I was like, I like you. Like I don't know. Like we've read about a lot of good husbands. I don't know if we've ever read about a husband that's like, you not only like do your own thing, but I'm gonna help you, and also I'm gonna like give up my rights to it.
I was gonna say the whole idea of abdicating your rights as a man at the time
is insane.
That's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So by 1891, the Beasleys had moved to Chicago, and Maria was formally advertising herself as an inventor. She became the co-founder and director of the Wabash Avenue Subway Transportation Company, which had plans to build a subway in the New York or in the Chicago subway system. And so during this time, obviously, because she was like part of this subway system, she also became interested in like trains. And this doesn't surprise me because like barrels, everything was transported in barrels. So like, it doesn't surprise me that her brain made the leap from barrels to like, how do we transport shit?
Well, and she was also really interested in the mechanics.
Oh yeah.
And
trains
I feel like because trains are so like, okay, there's the mechanics of the train itself, and then there are the mechanics of how they all intersect and the different routes and the timing and you've got wide gauge and single gauge and skinny jean gauge and like all this other crazy stuff. Egg is like
super big into it.
Well, he's super big into it. He's also disgusted with me right now because I always, instead of narrow gauge, I always say skinny
jean gauge.
Well, I always say skinny gauge. And he's like, it's narrow gauge. And so I've just started saying skinny jean gauge. That's because amazing. I want to be the problem.
I mean, that's kind of how I am in my, you're not, my marriage,
your
relationship with so many people. But so she began to be interested in like, the like trains and like how we transport shit. And she believed that the answer rested on improving the speed of trains, like therefore getting goods there faster so they wouldn't perish as soon, and she believed that how we do that is with the use of electrification. Like, so I think it's like electrifying the rails to make it. I don't actually really understand it, but she believed that, like the answer was like, let's improve how fast trains can go, not improve how good the refrigeration of the train cars is.
Right. Like, let's get the goods to where they're going faster instead of investing more time and energy on the refrigeration, which eventually, like, that's going to start impacting the speed of the train because of the weight. Also, this is amazing and I love it. Also, high-speed rail. Why can't we have it?
Yeah. So what I absolutely love about this is like she was so devoted to figuring this out. She actually built a small experimental rail line around the property she owned so that she could have like a train running to like figure out how to work with trains. And her goal was to get them to be able to support and withstand speeds of up to 100 miles an hour.
I am so glad this lady is dead because Egg would leave me for her in a heartbeat. And I would be
he would have tough competition against James Q.
John Q. I was going to say John Q. Like good man.
I don't think he'd have a shot.
I would be like, can we be a throuple though? Because this is hot.
It's like, you guys can be best friends. She has John Q. Yeah.
Oh no, I would be usurping John Q. Yeah.
There you go. So in March of 1895, James G. Hulse, Parker Crittenden, and John W. Hill incorporated the Interocean Electric Railway Company with $200 million of capital, which was the largest capitalized stock incorporated in the West at the time. Just side note. The company announced its intention to build an elevated electric railway between New York, Chicago, and San Francisco, with Maria listed as the primary designer and motivational force behind the new and improved train.
There's San Francisco again, by the way.
I know, right? That's weird. But I love that they actually like not only like put her name out, but like was like, she's the reason we're doing this, and like she's the motivation behind it, and like they're actually like giving her credit.
Resisting the distinct douchey urge to erase women from history and separate them from their accomplishments.
So as people like dug into the paperwork more, she's listed as contributing to designing a more aerodynamically shaped motor, a telescopic glass to assist train engineers in seeing further down the line, and a device to circulate cold water and air around the axles of a train to decrease the risk of like overheating. Mm-hmm. She also patented, like literally this is the quote. The patent was for, quote, means for preventing derailment of railroad cars. That's the full title.
Good. That's a good thing.
It was 3 years after like they announced the electric rail company. And because they were able to attain these higher speeds, because of the electric power, they needed additional safeguards to reduce the possibility of derailment, which is a big fucking deal. So Maria's anti-derailment device is a combination of like an extra guardrail and like this locking device to keep the train in place. The guardrail uses a flange, so like a protruding edge on the rim located at the inner side of the track rail. So it engages a catch mechanism that connects to the train. And so in the event of a train car about to derail, this kind of, it basically they can kind of it's a weeble wobble. They can kind of wobble a little, but it pulls it back basically.
Right. It keeps it from tipping entirely, listing too much.
Yep.
As they would say with ships.
Yeah. And so basically everything had to be really rigid and otherwise it would risk straining, but she still patented it. I couldn't find how well it did, but she thought about it, which I think is good. Cause if you're going to increase the speed of trains, let's also make sure they're getting to their destination safely. So in her lifetime, Maria would patent a total of 15 inventions in the United States and obtain an additional British patent for 2 of those. Her non-barrel patents that I haven't talked about related to a machine for pasting the upper parts of shoes together, a steam generator, and a bread making machine. But there's not as much information about those.
Speaking of bread and how it's made, she made a bread making machine.
Right. Yeah, but there's it's weird because of her inventions, that one doesn't. There's not description of what was different about it.
I am just gonna say, everyone who got really into making bread during the pandemic, thank Maria right now.
Right.
Maria Beasley delivered you.
Maria died in 1913. There is places that suggest a year of death might have been 1904, but even her grave is marked as 1913, which she would have been 77 at that time.
When it's written in stone like that,
exactly.
I think that's the one we're gonna lean towards.
I believe that one. Yeah. Right. So by the end of her career, she had 15 patent inventions in the United States and 2 in Britain. She had made a fortune, kind of lost it by investing in because she invested a lot in trains and stuff, but then made it back by investing in trains and stuff.
Trains are always the answer.
And honestly, lived a life that most inventors would be jealous of.
Because a lot of the inventors that we've covered on this podcast never made it big. Their inventions were great,
right,
and successful and good.
But there were some that was it Margaret Knight? I can't remember if it was Margaret Knight or one of the other inventors I covered that she didn't get anything out of it, but the second her patent expired, a big company was we're taking that and we're stealing your idea and we're making money off of it.
I think that was pads. The belted pads.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
I was it was either that or the really olden time intruder.
Yeah, the security system.
It was one of those two.
I was going to say those are the 2 I'm thinking of.
But yeah, I feel she should be up there right along Thomas Edison and the Wright brothers and all of this, all of these other people, because maybe barrels aren't as big of a deal, but a collapsing life raft, that's kind of a big deal. Yeah.
Also, I would put her above Thomas Edison because she actually invented stuff and didn't just
steal it from other people.
Yeah, didn't just have a bunch of dudes under her who invented stuff and then she was it's mine.
Well, and also like you said, it's not in her time these inventions weren't super popular and people were buying them for millions of dollars in a time where that's an astronomical amount of money. And railways are listening to her. People are listening to her.
Creating a revolutionary invention is one thing, but then to find commercial success through it, because there's so many inventions where we're
right?
how did that not work? Or how did that not take off? It's so important nowadays.
Yeah, and then the fact that she's not even a footnote in history. It makes me mad. But yeah, that is Maria Beasley, the barrel hoop maker.
The barrel hoop maker. I love that. I love it just started with barrels too.
Right? There was this like I said, we said, the one incident in childhood, or not one, but there was a person in her life that had something to do with barrels that complained about how they were made. And then later when she kind of refound her love of making stuff, she was I bet I can improve this.
That is amazing. I bet her grandfather was so proud.
I bet.
Aw. Well, my story is different.
Oh. I don't know how I feel about that.
So Maria Beasley definitely went out and sought success and made it happen, and that's why she's noteworthy. Some people are noteworthy because of the things that happen to them out of their control.
Oh, very true.
This is one of those stories.
Okay.
So according to OSHA, some of the most dangerous jobs include fishing, hunting, logging, construction, piloting aircraft, farming, underground mining, and delivery/truck driving, which actually doesn't surprise me that much. You'll notice that nowhere on the list is elevator operator.
Yep.
Understandably, it seems like a pretty chill job. Thanks to Elijah Otis inventing elevator safety brakes in 1853, elevators are actually quite safe. There are so many like fail-safe option mechanisms in elevators to prevent them from falling. So the iconic elevator drop that we're all like low-key a little afraid of whenever we step into an elevator, that hasn't happened since 1932.
Holy shit, really?
It wasn't in the United States, yeah. And it was like a freak thing. Like everything that went wrong could go wrong. So the majority of deaths, around 30 annually in the US, and injuries, which are about 17,000 from elevators, are actually suffered predominantly by maintenance staff who are working in elevator shafts or with heavy machinery. Like they're not just getting on an elevator, riding it, and getting off. They're working like in the areas that are inherently dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, passenger deaths are incredibly rare. But sometimes a series of events conspire in such an unexpected way that the unlikely and even downright impossible happens. And this is one of those stories. This is the story of Betty Lou Oliver and everything that fell into place. Kelly hates me right now.
I do, because
so
that's like one of my like biggest fears.
Yep. When I was writing this, I was like, Kelly's gonna fucking hate me. That is not why I did this story.
I love you, but I also hate you.
Yeah. So in July of 1945, Betty Lou Oliver was 20 years old, working in a dying profession. Because early elevators had to be manually operated by skilled personnel to control like the speed, the stops, the doors, trained operators were incredibly important. I learned so much about elevators during this story.
Yeah.
The history of elevators is actually quite fascinating. Working in subways, office buildings, apartments, hotels, government buildings, department stores, monuments, and wherever elevators could be found. In addition to working the elevator attendants also served as like greeters, tour guides, and salespeople. So if you went to a department store with an elevator, the elevator operator would also be like, oh my God, like I gotta tell you about this sale going on. Or like, oh, you look like you would like this. Like they're also like pimping the wares, which I'm like, that makes so much sense. It's genius because that person is trapped with you.
Yeah.
They don't go anywhere unless you allow them to.
Yep.
So of course you're going to talk about your spiel. I remember I worked in at a retail store where every time someone came in, we were required to approach them immediately and start spieling like the sales and deals that we had as quickly as we could, because people would just walk away from you.
Yeah.
Which I don't blame them for, because I hate when people do that to me. I hated doing it. But like now you have a captive audience and you can just sell to them. However, by the 1940s, with automatic elevators becoming more commonplace, elevator operators were a dwindling profession. One place that was still reliant on elevator operators or elevator attendants was the Empire State Building in New York City. At 1,450 feet, or 443 meters for our international listeners, with its antenna. So like there's been some discourse, like the Empire State Building was kind of in a pissing contest with another building, and that's actually why they added the antenna, because the other building was taller, and they were like, well, we're gonna put this antenna on top and technically be taller than you. So there's like how tall the building is and then how tall it is with the antenna. It's like, well, there's a size when you're flaccid, but then when you're erect, that, you know,
that's what matters.
It's so fucking weird, man. So the behemoth of a building was and continues to be a huge tourist attraction. Operators were tasked with helping tourists and employees alike navigate the 102 floors of the world's tallest building, which it was at the time. Which is also super funny because when Egg and I were in New York for like 5 hours, we're walking down the street heading back to the train station, and I'm like, is that the fucking Empire State Building in front of us? And he like stops and looks, and he like, I think it is. I like check my GPS. I was like, holy shit, that's the Empire State Building.
Funny.
Like we're staring right at it. We're both like, is that it?
Yeah.
Well, because like New York in the 2020s is a very different place. But I was like, oh my fucking God. Like we were on the High Line and I look and I'm like, is that the fucking Statue of Liberty in the distance there? Like the weird iconic stuff that you can just stumble upon in New York is wild. Or it's like, is that one of the most iconic symbols of our nation off in the distance there? Huh. Yeah, I think it is. How about that?
Yeah.
It's just hanging out there. What the fuck? So I took a couple of pictures of Egg standing with a Empire State Building in the background because I'm like, I feel like I have to take a picture of this now. Like, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
King Kong died for this.
Funny.
So, Betty Lou had enjoyed her time as an elevator attendant, but she was ready to move on.
Ooh.
The job as an elevator girl, as it might be called, was always meant to be temporary. Betty Lou's husband, Oscar, was serving as a Navy torpedoman in World War II, and she had traveled from their home in Fort Smith, Arkansas, to work in New York while awaiting his return from overseas. His homecoming was imminent. The war in Europe had ended in April with the suicide of one of history's most notable pieces of fucking shit of that year. To everyone's surprise, the U.S. would be dropping the world's first atomic bombs on Japan, ending the war that September. So the war in Europe ends in April of 1945. By that September, the atomic bombs are dropped, effectively ending the war in the Pacific theater. So I think, not that anyone was expecting the atomic bombs, but I think everyone's like, okay, we're getting to the end of this. Like, there's going to be a natural conclusion here. So Betty Lou was ready to say goodbye to the war and New York and start a new chapter of her life back home and reunited with her husband. She arrived to work her final shift on Saturday, July 28th, 1945, and each moment that passed brought her a little closer to her highly anticipated future. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Colonel William Smith, an experienced and highly decorated fighter pilot who had served in Europe during the war, was flying. Now back stateside, Lieutenant Colonel Smith was still dutifully serving. That morning, he was carrying out a basic mission, transporting Army personnel from Massachusetts to New Jersey in a B-25 bomber. I checked that several times because I'm like, is it my dyslexia? Isn't it supposed to be B-52? Nope, that's the band. They don't apply to everything. The answer is not always the B-52s.
I wonder if that's
like I imagine it's smaller.
Or a Mandela effect style, like everyone is like, thinks it's the B-52.
Well, I think there was a B-52, but in this case it was B-25. I just had to keep rechecking it because I'm like, I know I read B-25, but I don't believe that I read B-25. Yeah. Anyway, that means something to someone. Plain folks. You can,
whatever.
Good for you. While flying over Manhattan, Smith encountered a thick fog. Visibility was zero, and air traffic control advised Smith to abandon his descent to LaGuardia Airport entirely. But after flying missions in war-torn Europe, Smith was confident in his abilities to navigate the fog. I don't entirely blame him. Like, he's stateside where no one is shooting at you, and he's like, a little fog, whatever, I got this. What he didn't realize, though, was that he wasn't flying at the minimum altitude of 2,000 feet or 609 meters above the city. He had dropped to a mere 913 feet, 278 meters.
Oh my gosh.
And no one would realize his mistake until it was too late. At 9:40 a.m., the B-25 bomber crashed into the Empire State Building's northern side between the 78th and 80th floors. The wings sheared off as the fuselage penetrated the building. The plane's gas tanks exploded, killing everyone on board and engulfing the 8 by 20 foot hole that the plane had made in the building. And if you go into my notes, you will see a picture of this hole.
Jeez.
Yeah. I also feel like I need to say that this story and me covering it was not inspired by 9/11, but I realized the first time that, we went into the church and the priest told us what had happened, I knew about this story.
Oh, really?
And because I had seen it on, it was like one of these like dramatic history shows that I would watch before I went to school. It was like Weather Changed History or something like that. This was one of the stories that I heard. Okay. I assumed this is what had happened. Color me surprised when I got home and started watching the news and realized that was definitely not what happened. The date, the timing, none of it is related. I had just heard about this story before I wanted to cover her. So I'm not making a connection. I'm not making a statement, anything like that. So Betty Lou just so happened to be working on the 80th floor at the time of impact. She was immediately thrown from the elevator onto the concrete floor. And before she could even wonder what had happened, she found herself surrounded by flames. What Betty Lou didn't know is that she had broken her back, pelvis, and neck.
Oh my God.
She may not have known those things. She probably felt those things.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what the adrenaline was up to. Now, surrounded by flames on the 80th floor of the world's tallest building, the situation was dire. Firefighters responded quickly to the crash and rushed to reach survivors on the upper floors. Seriously, God bless New York firefighters.
Yeah.
Like across decades, fucking doing the Lord's work. There they found Betty Lou battered, bloody, and now burned, but alive. They placed her on a stretcher and lowered her into an So I read in two different places. I read that it was the same elevator she had been thrown out of. I also read that it was a different elevator on the floor. I don't know for sure.
There's a variety of things. Okay.
Yeah, but she was put on an elevator on that same floor to be lowered down. To the credit, I don't think I put this in my notes, but I read it in a few places. To the credit of the firefighters, they extinguished that fire in about 40 minutes, which is still a stressful amount of time to be fighting a fire. Also, this is 1945.
Yeah.
A plane has crashed into the tallest building in the world and set the thing on fire, and they had it under control in 40 minutes.
That's insane.
That is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Like we did a Herstory Happening where we talked about the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire, where we were talking about how their ladders didn't even reach to the upper floors and their hoses didn't work and nothing fucking worked. So really, again, lots of credit. It's incredible. So, sorry. So this may seem like a bad idea. After all, we all know that if there's a fire or a disaster, the last thing you do is get into an elevator. There are signs everywhere that tell you do not fucking do it.
But we're there back then.
You always evacuate using the stairs, but this didn't become standard practice until the 80s and 90s. Yeah.
Because of stuff like this.
You and I grew up knowing you don't take the elevator if something is going on with a building. You always take the stairs. Always, always, always. I cannot believe that we were one of the first generations to grow up with that just being the fact.
It is crazy.
It truly is insane. So that wasn't normal practice. Besides, Betty Lou had life-threatening injuries. So why would they risk running her on a stretcher down 80 floors to safety when they could gently and quickly lower her? My point is, this sounds really poorly advised, but I understand why they did this at the time. Rescuers began lowering the elevator manually, and that's when it snapped. The loud snap echoed through the elevator shaft, leaving no doubt in Betty Lou's mind what she had heard. All 6 elevator cables had been weakened by the crash and broke, leaving Betty Lou to free fall 75 stories into the basement.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's like my worst fear.
I don't know why.
That's me not being injured or anything.
And like, I don't know why when I read like into the basement, I was like, oh my God, you're right. She wouldn't have just stopped on the first floor. And like that extra creeped me out for some reason. Rescuers rushed to the elevator, which had been crushed and mangled so much that they had to cut it apart to get to whatever was inside. The elevator company manager who inspected the site said that the shaft's concrete floor was, quote, crushed like an eggshell.
Jesus Christ.
Miraculously, because I would not do that to you, Kelly.
I appreciate that.
Miraculously.
I'm like, this isn't an October episode.
I'm just going to say, I can't imagine myself telling a story that is all about someone dying in an elevator crash. Okay. Now, if that's how the story ends and there's a bunch of stuff before that, that's one thing. But if the whole point is like, let me tell you how this poor woman died. I'm not going to do that to you, Kelly, or dear listener. So miraculously, after falling 1,000 feet, Betty Lou Oliver was alive, conscious.
Holy shit.
And moving.
That's absolutely insane.
Fucking unbelievable.
Like literally, I'm pretty sure no one could explain that.
It shouldn't
that
have been
makes
possible
no sense
for Betty Lou to survive the fall, let alone while she was already severely injured.
Yeah.
Lucky for Betty Lou, the very severed cables which caused her descent also helped to save her life. This is some of the most insane shit in the world. So the cables fell first. They preceded the elevator car itself, and they coiled at the bottom of the shaft and basically cushioned the impact because they've got like an elasticity to them. At the same time, like this is an airtight shaft. So the compressed air in the shaft slowed the fall just enough.
Yep.
Where these two things combined allowed Betty Lou Oliver to survive. You could say everything fell into place. Kelly's.
I get that. No.
Okay. Yeah.
No, that's like...
I'm
That's
sorry.
Like the most valid pun you've ever done.
Okay,
and I'm actually very proud of it.
Thank you. I'm like Kelly is going to either walk out of this room or give me a little like some polite golf claps because
polite golf.
I mean, literally, the cables fell into place.
It's crazy.
Like seriously,
it literally saved someone's life.
It's not often that a pun works on both a metaphysical and literal level.
Exactly,
but sometimes it happens. Now, Betty Lou's survival is already fucking unbelievable, but she had suffered multiple fractures, severe burns, and indescribable trauma, like mentally and physically. Recovery would be a long road if it was possible at all.
Yeah. Jesus.
Within weeks, Betty Lou was able to walk with the assistance of like crutches and stuff.
That's insane.
If you go in my notes, you are going to see a photo of Betty Lou after she was able to be up and about.
Like she looks fine. Like other than the fact that she's on crutches.
I know.
She looks fine.
Also, the nurse in this photo looks so much like Mia Goth in Pearl, where I'm like, oh my God, I do believe in reincarnation. So she would stay in the hospital for 4 months using a wheelchair to aid in her recovery because she could physically walk, but it was very difficult. She obviously had to heal her pelvis. But after being discharged from the hospital, she spent several months recovering at her aunt's home before finally returning to Arkansas. So it's incredible how she was able to bounce back. The fact that she could walk, period, within weeks of this accident.
Yeah.
And then that she, as far as we know, fully physically recovered. She was not wheelchair bound. She didn't need to use crutches for the rest of her life.
That's insane.
She was not like severely brain damaged. She hadn't become a vegetable. Like, it is some of the wildest shit. And also, like, she was in her early 20s. She's got a baby face. She looks like she's like a teenager in this photo. I cannot imagine this. Of her fall, Betty Lou recalled, quote, I started yelling and pounding on the floor. I was going down so fast that I just had to hang onto the sides of the elevator to keep from floating.
That's insane.
You know that feeling you get on a
yeah.
roller coaster where your stomach kind of goes up into your chest?
Yeah, like 0G feeling.
Yeah, imagine that with like none of the trappings of safety.
It's free fall.
None of the trappings or illusions of safety. Before her long-awaited homecoming, Betty Lou Oliver returned to the Empire State Building 5 months after the accident.
Shit, I would be like, no thanks.
She rode the same elevator that had nearly taken and sort of saved her life. Okay, by same elevator, I assume they replaced the elevator car.
And cables and like everything.
Yeah. So like same, it's with an asterisk. So it would be the last time that she ever went to the Empire State Building. And I love that she's like, I'm going to do this just to like tell myself I can. And as a part of her recovery, I'm sure that was emotionally important for her.
I think so.
That doesn't mean she had to go back constantly and revisit that trauma and re-expose herself to that. Which I think is just a really healthy way of dealing with something so awful, especially during a time where people are not going to be... There's not a lot of help available in 1945 for someone who has been through one of the greatest freak accidents of the decade.
Oh, exactly.
Ultimately, 14 people were killed in the accident. All 3 men on the plane, including the pilots, and 11 civilians who were in the building.
Wow.
Over 20 others were injured. So this wasn't like the people on the plane died, everyone else was fine. Betty Lou could have died, maybe should have, but didn't. It was this was a lethal, it was a tragic and entirely unnecessary accident. So I couldn't find much information about the lasting effects of Betty Lou's injuries, her emotional trauma, or how they affected her. And that's because Betty Lou didn't really want to talk about it.
That's valid.
Totally valid, especially for the time. You don't talk about trauma. She declined interviews, saying she was, quote, plain not interested, unquote, in talking about it.
She's like, this was a horrible event that happened to me. Like, I don't really need to relive it.
Yeah. I also imagine this is me speculating. I have no evidence about this. This is me just kind of looking at a situation and wondering out loud. Her husband has come back. He was a torpedo man in World War II. I'm sure he was not talking about any trauma he endured. Even if he did, I can very much see Betty Lou being like, my trauma is not significant enough to talk about. Yeah. Like, he was at war. This was a freak accident that I was lucky to survive. I bet neither of them talked about a lot of things. Betty Lou Oliver lived a quiet life in Arkansas with her husband, Oscar, and the couple had 3 children and 7 grandchildren. Suck it, busted pelvis. She broke her pelvis and she still had 3 fucking children.
That's insane.
God. Oscar passed away in 1986, and Betty, at 74 years old, passed away on November 24th, 1999.
Holy shit, really?
To this day, Betty Lou Oliver still holds the Guinness World Record for surviving the longest elevator fall in history. Yeah. But even today, I don't imagine she would be super pleased with being recognized for that honor.
Yeah, probably not.
And that is the story, the batshit insane survival story of Betty Lou Oliver, which I titled Fell Into Place.
I love it.
Because it was so crazy. I honestly, when I started looking for a story to do for this week, I wanted to do a survivor story Because
amazing.
Those are always really fun, you know, and you don't have to have a ton of historical context to cover them. And it's got to happen like, oh my God, this person survived these incredible odds. And it wasn't until like yesterday I was like, oh my God, this is the story that I thought had happened when 9/11 happened, because I knew this story when I was a child. And when I heard about planes hitting the World Trade Centers, I thought it was like small plane, total freak accident. Not that big of like sad, not that big of a deal. And of course it was so much more than that, but it was weirdly kismet that I decided to cover the story around that time, because I kind of forgot that the anniversary was coming up, because I have a really hard time with that. So Bailu Oliver, God, I just like surviving one accident,
just like
but then
both of them,
but then like, okay, she has survived this plane crashing, and then the elevator that's supposed to deliver her to safety breaks, and she survives that too. Just absolutely batshit insane. So Kelly, speaking of batshit insane things that people survived and endured, should we read How to Be Brave today?
Sure.
All right.
Hold on, I gotta grab the book.
It's okay. By the way, y'all, if you're absolutely like hating the let's be brave, like please let us know. This is just I got this book at the Wine and Wolves thing. I figured I could incorporate
kind of something silly.
I thought it would be fun, you know, and especially just with how jaded Kelly and I are when it comes to religion. So yeah, just like if you fucking hate this, we can go back to being what we're thankful for, what we're hopeful for.
Freezing.
You guys
or something else.
Yeah, you guys can fucking write into us and tell us like what you're really jazzed about, and we'll talk about it.
Oh God, this is like a 4-page entry. Okay.
Jesus fucking okay, we can double team that if you want, because we're Kelly, we're a double barrel.
If we are.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll read like through halfway.
Now Eden did not finish that sentence. She said
double barrel.
She said we're very entertaining, and then that we're a double barrel, and I'm like, of
awesomeness.
I'm gonna take it as a compliment, though. I choose to.
It seemed like a compliment.
The delusion is strong within me.
Yeah. So this is day 14. Ruby Rubin made you on purpose. This is a Ruby Rubin heavy one.
All right.
I like the idea that Ruby Rubin only made me once. Like paintings, there's something special about the first one. My cousin Joe just recently passed away, but for my entire life, he was a painter. An artist. My home is filled with paintings and sketches and illustrations he made just for me. In fact, one of the paintings he gave me proudly hangs in my dining room. It's huge and abstract and purple and blue and black and weird, and I love it.
Aww.
A few years ago, I asked Joe what it's like to replicate art versus painting the original piece. The short answer he gave is that the original is work but fun. Any copies, exact or modified, are boring, if not mindless. Creating is just problem solving, and once you solve the original problem, it's like you could train bright monkeys to do the replicating. That's a quote. Bright monkeys. I miss Joe.
Oh, I like Joe. Also, it kind of reminds me of like you and I play the same paint by numbers game on our phones as a way of like shutting things down and just getting the dopamine of making progress without any of the thought. That's what that made me think of.
Yeah, exactly. The question is not unlike asking a chef to create the most special French onion soup in the world, and after he or she has succeeded beyond any expectations, to keep making it every day. Ruby Rubin made you once. You were worth the work that first time. Then she threw away that mold because one of you is enough for her. You're enough. You are that sacred painting, the original. Ruby Rubin made us this way on purpose. It's no mistake that we are formed the way we are. But why? Why did Ruby Rubin make humans in the first place? Look at Isaiah 43:7. Everyone who is called by my name, whom I created for my glory, whom I formed and made. I will hand off the book here.
Oh, shit. Where are we? Right there? Okay. All right. Ruby Rubin created us for her glory. Hang with me for a little Old Testament lesson. Ooh, the Old Testament, the most brutal and metal of the Testaments. The word create in the original Hebrew is bara. When this particular word is used, Ruby Rubin is the only subject. She does all the work. Only she can create in this particular way. We may be able to create a painting or create chaos, love that, but as humans, we cannot bara. So when Ruby Rubin made you, she did something that only she can do. And she did that for her glory. The short Hebrew 101 lesson does have a point. We look to the original language of the text to see, according to scripture, that we were made especially by Ruby Rubin to promote her, glorify her, and worship her. I mean, it's nice to know that I was assigned an objective. I don't know if I'm doing a great job with it. So what does this have to do with being brave? Great question, author. If we are each as unique as the Holy Bible says we are, then our calls to courage are each equally unique. We each have to be brave in our own ways. The painting of your life is a masterpiece that will never be replicated. And there's a brave brush to use in this painting that will change everything for Ruby Rubin's glory and for your good. Maybe you want to move to another country and live and share about Ruby Rubin's daughter. Jesus. I don't know how to say we ain't going with a new name for Jesus. My friend, that is brave. It really is. But so is being a stay-at-home mom, and so is being a cable technician. So is being an author or a baseball player or a chef. Courage looks different for each of us. Ruby Rubin made you on purpose and unique. Ruby Rubin has called you to be brave, and Ruby Rubin will equip you to do it. Be brave. In your journal or here in the margins, list some ways that your life is unique. What do you love? How do you like to spend your time? What ways do you see your life as different from anyone else's? Well, I ask people to pay me to drink, so that's, I wouldn't say it's wholly unique. You know, one of the things I definitely appreciate about this, especially when I was younger, I struggle with it more now as an adult, but going to Catholic school, so much of the teachings were related to God and creation and all that stuff was nothing is a mistake. Everything is on purpose. The way you are is intentional. Mm-hmm. There are definitely some big questions to be answered about people who are, maybe born with undue burden or maybe born to families that are toxic or abusive, for people who are born with significant cognitive or physical disabilities. It's like nothing's an accident. It's like, so you're saying I should be happy with my lot in life? But the idea that you inherently kind of have everything you need to be the person you want to be, and to be, that can be very comforting. And I do appreciate that.
That's true.
There was a quote that I used to hear all the time, which is God doesn't give you more than you can handle. And I used to be like, I think Ruby Rubin is trusting me way too much because I cannot fucking handle anything. But the whole idea that whatever you are given is inherently surmountable.
Yeah.
It's comforting.
Yeah.
I agree. Like you are, because I think the first step to overcoming something is believing that you can. And if you just kind of need that blind, like that belief that I can because Ruby Rubin says I can and made me that way, man, if that helps you get over the hump, Ruby Rubin bless.
Exactly.
In the name of the Ruby, the Reuben, and the Holy Reuben, and the Russian dressing. God, I really want a sandwich now. Well, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Whining About Herstory. Like us on Facebook at Whining About Herstory, Instagram at WAHPad.
Our website is whiningaboutherstory.com, where you can find a link to all of our social media, all of our episodes, and our merch. You can also find a link to our Buy Me a Coffee, where you can sponsor a glass of wine for $5 or an entire bottle for $15 if you want us to try to find something named after you or one of your suggestions. You can also sponsor the podcast by going to our Patreon, as Emily mentioned at the beginning of this episode, for as little as $1 a month. And if you do so before October 1st, you'll get to listen to me drunk talk about Greek mythology and gods.
Just remember, I'm going to put a bunch of like Greek mythological figures in a hat or a bowl, whatever's available.
Get me drunk and then pull them out one by one.
And Kelly's just going to talk about them. It's going to be
Top
amazing.
of my head,
it's going to be
apparently.
truly amazing. It's going to be the best thing. And Kelly, I will get drunk with you.
Good.
You know what?
I'd be very sad if you didn't.
Bad bitches don't let bad bitches drink
drunk
alone.
alone.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Also rate us 5 stars wherever you listen because it gives us the warm fuzzies and pisses off all of the right people. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Whiny About Herstory. I'm Emily.
I'm Kelly.
Have an empowered day, y'all. Bye. I can't reach the button, Kelly.
Okay. I got your button, Emily.